Okay, lottie dottie, everybody, we're all here today. Okay, this is going to be something that's going to be very important. I want you to listen closely. I want you to fact check me. I want you to pay attention to what's going to be said because all I'm going to do is tell you the truth. Some people might like it, some people might not like it, but we're going to cover some sensitive areas. We'll go right directly into it because the title is called You Are Being Played. Now, whether you want to believe it or not, you are. And what we mean is that you have been misinformed, you've been lied to, you've been manipulated, you've been led astray, you have been fooled for the most part of your lives, and you don't really know it or realize it, or maybe don't want to realize it. It's like when Morpheus told Neo, "Look around you. What do you see?" And he mentioned people of different professions, walks of life, and said these people are hooked up to the Matrix. And because of the fact that they don't want to be disconnected, that makes them very dangerous. And so there are people out there who are very dangerous to what it is we're trying to do. Before we get started, I want to do as always, I want to show you what we have here on the table. We have these selenite wands. My wife makes copper wands, organite wands that she has created. She makes these. They're good for those people who are in the holistic area of healing, treating light workers, Reiki masters, etc. These over here are some. These are real nice. These are the good. That's the organ she's working with there. These over here we have our power discs, our organite pendants. We have down there. We have our power disc up here, and of course our pyramids. And right here, don't forget, as always, we say, if anything we say here today means anything to you, if you find any value in what we have to say, we ask, please give a contribution. Doesn't have to be a whole lot, just enough to keep the ship afloat and things moving on. See, now I said that. Look what you did. There it is. Okay, it's good to go. Also, those of you in the Atlanta area, if you have a computer, cell phone, or something electronic you need work done, visit my son's store. It's called Tech Genius. It's on Ponce, there in the Whole Foods area. Also, my daughter, Aida, Diva Pink, she helps to empower women with her speaking engagements that she has. And my youngest son, Alabas, he also is an intuitive as well as a professional photographer. So if you need to contact them, contact me, or you can go on Facebook, Instagram. You can find them there. All right. Now, this is where we're going to start. This I'm going to read for you very plain, very clear. Okay. The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in a democratic society. Those who manipulate these unseen mechanisms of social constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested largely by men we never heard of. In almost every act of our daily lives, whether in the sphere of politics or business, in our social conduct or our ethical thinking, we are dominated by the relatively small number of persons who understand the mental processes and the social patterns of the masses. It is they who pull the wires or the strings which control the public mind, who harness old social forces and contrive new ways to bind and guide the world. All right? Because what we're talking about is a terminology that you may be familiar with. It is called propaganda. What is propaganda? I'm glad you asked. The mechanism by which ideas are dismissed on a large scale is propaganda, in the broad sense of an organized effort to spread a particular belief or doctrine. Especially propagandists use media such as magazines, newspapers, radio, the internet, television, and video to manipulate the masses into accepting or conforming to a certain idea, from religion to politics. All right? Now, that covers quite a bit. I'm going to go right into detail. I'm going to talk about the religion aspect of this. Now, please keep in mind, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to make fun of or make mockery of anybody's system of what they believe in religion. I'm not trying to, um, you know, make it look as bad as it is, but it is. All right? Now, we're going to talk about the three major religions: Christianity, Islam, Judaism. And we're going to talk about each one, and I'm going to be as respectful as I can with them, but I will give you the truth, the facts. All right, number one, Christianity. The first thing you need to know about Christianity, that it was never started by the man you call Jesus, who was known as Jesus the Christ, not Jesus Christ, not his last name. Jesus the Christ never started Christianity. Jesus was considered to be at that time, and as even now, is a Jew. So that meant all his practices, all his teachings, all the things that he did was based upon the concept of what people do who are Jews, not Christians. You ask the average Christian, where in the Bible does it say the word Christian? I promise you, 9 out of 10 of them can't tell you. I'll tell you. It says in the book of Acts that the disciples were first called Christian in Antioch. And it wasn't because there was this nice thing. They were making mockery of them. And there are only 2 other times in the Bible that the word Christian is mentioned. I'm not going to tell you where. You go look for it and find out for yourself. But that's where it is. And none of the times are any of the disciples or does Jesus mention that word or that name or that title. Okay. Now, another thing about Christianity, and another thing too I want to point out, is how many of you people who follow Jesus act like Jesus. Do you love your enemies? Do you pray for those who spitefully misuse you? Do you do all the things that they say Jesus said? Or are you just saying in word but not in deed? Now, the one thing you have to recognize this fact, that in this country, in the United States of America, there are over 1,200, I'll say it again, 1,200 different Christian denominations. That's just in America alone. 1,200 different Christian denominations. They are called the, where's it at? They're called meta groups, okay, which consist of Roman Catholicism, which happens to be the largest one, of course, Eastern Orthodoxy, Oriental Orthodoxy, Syrian churches, Protestantism, Protestants, I'll say that one, Anglican, Pentecostal, and others. Those are some of the titles they fall under. Now, let's take it a step further. Worldwide, pay attention and listen, worldwide, there are over 30,000, with a T, different Christian religious denominations. Worldwide, 30,000. And that consists of millions upon millions upon millions of followers. Now, in the writings of the Bible, it says this: one Lord, one faith, one baptism. So why is it that there are over 30,000 different Christian belief systems that exist worldwide, but they all have the same book? They read the same Bible figuratively. Some of them have different versions of the Bible. When we say versions, you have to pay attention to the translations, because there are 3 forms of translation, transliteration, and literal translation. Each one of those are different in what is being said by way of how it is brought forward from what we call the original languages. If it's not being told to you by way of the original languages and what's going on, you are being fooled, you are being tricked, you are being deceived. Because the majority of people who don't know anything about the book or the writings, they are getting the exoteric teachings of what it says. But when you go into the language and go into the esoteric meaning or the metaphysical meanings of what's being said, you're going to get a whole nother picture, a whole nother view. So again, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, but yet you have 30,000 different concepts of this belief. The question we have to ask is that in the place that people call heaven, they always point up, I don't know why, but heaven could be any direction, or like it says, it's in you, but going on, are there that many different denominations in this place called heaven? meaning that if anybody who is let's say, a Baptist or an Episcopalian or a Methodist, if they happen to pass on and go to heaven, are they going to go there as those things or what? You don't know because people don't talk about that. But that's something you have to look at. And why is it that when you walk through certain neighborhoods, that within a 5 or 10 mile radius, you can run into maybe 4 or 5 different churches, different denominations. So you as a Christian going to church on Sunday to worship the Lord, why is it that you will pass 4 other churches to go to one particular church if they're all teaching the same thing about Jesus and Christianity? Because that's all they have in common. You have the same Bible, basically. You all talk about Jesus. You all talk about what God wants, the same thing over and over, but yet you have a different name and title. Another thing is that the names that you have of your particular churches, are they in the Bible? Can we find the First Baptist Church in the Bible? Can we find the Episcopalian Church in the Bible? Can we find the Methodist Church in the Bible? Can we find any of these churches as they're named? No, but I'll tell you, in the book of Revelation, chapter 7, it mentions 7 different churches in Asia at that particular time. And each church, as it's described in the book of Revelations, is telling what's wrong with it and what might be right with it. But for the most part, it only mentions one church that it says, this is the church. Why? Because they have kept my tenets and my commandments. That particular, I'm not going to tell you what it is. Go look it up yourself and read it. That way you know that I'm not just making this up. So you have all these different churches, people running around today saying the same thing basically, but yet you're all different. How does that work in a way where you have to say you believe in this stuff? Again, I'm not trying to make mockery or fun. I'm just talking the truth. Is that how can you call yourself one thing and someone else call himself another thing, and yet you do not agree? And to make it even worse is that you have when the Protestants or the Protestants came about, they had a fight with the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church and the Protestants have been at war for hundreds of years. You see, is that this, and you're both doing it in the name of the Lord. You're doing it in the name of what you believe. Is that you're saying that they're wrong, I'm right, they're wrong, and yet you fight amongst yourselves. You follow? So you have to understand that what you do is you cherry pick from the book of what's good that you feel, and what you don't want, you just kick to the curb. And another thing that you do is that you, under the delusion, I'm going to say this word, delusion, that you think that God lives in the church, in the building. That's where God stays at. He stays there. Because when you're inside the church house, you're very respectful, you're very cordial, everybody's smiling and happy, and everything is cool. But the minute you get your ass outside, you say, shit. You light up your cigarettes, you start talking stuff, you're ready to go to the club or been to the club, whatever it is, because you think that God lives in the church, don't come outside. It's not the same God inside the church, outside the church. So why would you act different outside the church, the building, and you do inside the church? Doesn't make sense to me. You follow? It reminds me of the little joke that they told where they were having a picnic, and on a picnic table for the church, at one end of the table, it had apples. It said, a little sign was put there. It says, take one, God is watching. On the other end, they had a big thing full of cookies and candy and cake. And some little smart-ass kid wrote on there, take all that you want because God's busy watching the apples. That's the mindset people have. You follow? So you have to pay attention and start questioning Reverend Wrong Path. Start asking, why is it that they teach one thing, we teach another, and yet we're supposed to worship the same God, but under different rules? Ask them to figure it out for you. Ask them why it's so much different. And they pretend that it's all the same when it's not. All right? Let's move on. We're going to go now to Islam, Muslims. All right? Now, they too have many different denominations of Islam. Like it says in your Quran, it says, that this is a writing, this is a scripture, and there's no doubt in it. But yet, on the other hand, you have what is called the Hadith. The Hadiths are the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, on him be peace. And some people take that over Quran. which they shouldn't be doing. Now you have different sects of Islam. You have the Sunni, the Shia, the Sufi, the Wahhabi, the Ansari, the Sunni. You have over, in total, 150 different sects of Islam doing the same thing. You all have Quran. You have Quran, but then you have the Hadith. Why do you have the Hadith? Because of the fact there are things that Hadith says, the Quran says you shouldn't be doing, but you override that and say that what Hadith says. What comes first, Hadith or Quran? If you say Hadith, I would stay away from you if I was a Muslim. But if you say Quran, Allahu Alam, Allah knows that this writing is what is getting given to you, and this is what you're supposed to obey over Hadith, then you should be on the right path. But when you break up into little factions of Islam and then fight amongst yourselves, it's the same thing in Christianity. When you have Christians fighting in the name of Lord, you have the Muslims fighting in the name of Allah, because both sides are saying Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Where does that make sense that you do this? Because of the fact that and I'll tell you straight up, man has injected himself into the teachings and the writings of what has been sent down or given to you from the Most High, whether it's God, Allah, Yahweh, Elohim, it matters not. What you do is that man said, well, I ain't taking this part of it, but I'll take that part of it. You follow? That's what man does. Man is deceiving you into thinking that you have something that's coming from the Most High when it's not coming from them at all. It's coming from the man. Then we go on to Judaism. Let me say this about Judaism. In my studies, in my research, I found that the word Jew only pertains to the tribe of Yehuda, okay, which is the tribe of Judah. That's where the term comes from. When you read it, you'll find that in the Bible there was a separation of the 11 tribes went north, Judah went south, but some of Benjamin went with them. That's how the tribes divided up. That's where Judaism or Jews come from. But it's not a religion, right? It's not a religion, and nor is the Hebrew a religion, nor is being called a Israelite a religion. It's not a religion. Those are just titles, just names. Now, they too have been divided into over 70 different groups of different types of Jews. You have the Reformed Jew, the Conservative Jew, the Orthodox Jew, the Reconstructionist Jew, the Secular Jew, Humanist Jew, all these different ones that goes on and on and on, and yet they all are trying to claim the same thing. How come there's so much division and separatism going on in your belief systems when it's supposed to be just one? Just one is supposed to be. And even with that, they argue amongst themselves. Okay? It's like you have a concept what you call God, but you don't have no idea what God is. I say that all the time. I don't know what God is, but I know what God isn't. It isn't what you're trying to do. You ever notice where they put handcuffs on God? Meaning this, you watch a football game or any type of sports game, and when one of the players scores a touchdown, what do? That's one team. The other team scores a touchdown, what do? Same thing. And they all pray before they go out to the field. So whoever wins, that means God heard their prayer. So therefore, God is a Giants fan or a Falcons fan or a Philadelphia Eagles fan because you won the game because you prayed. That's how you think? You better think again, because what you're dealing with, you have no concept. Because what you've been told God is not what God is. It isn't. So you better go back, check, do some more homework, do some research, and reevaluate these things. Again, I'm not trying to make fun of your belief system or your religion. I'm just telling you like it is. If you got over 30,000 different types of people, and you got over 150, you got over 70 involved in your belief system, then something's wrong with it. Because it's supposed to be only one. Like it says, there's one door that you have to enter through. And you better find out what door that is so you don't get caught up and listen to what these men are telling you that you buy into, that you believe, that are leading you astray. It says, what does it say in the book? My sheep hear my voice and follow me. That's the good shepherd. And you have out there some other type of shepherds too, who are saying what might sound good because it says everyone that says Lord, Lord is not going to enter into the kingdom. And they're going to say, but didn't we do great works in your name? Didn't we cast out demons? Didn't we do all this kind of stuff? You're going to say, what? I don't know you people. Okay? So don't be fools, because it says many will come in my name saying who they are, and they are there to deceive us. There are a lot of deceivers out there today, those who are pretenders, those who are liars, and they are leading people astray. So you better get hip, because you have been played big time. Now, I'm going to tell you another way how to use and try to deceive. And I'm going to talk about music for a second. Now, I'm not going to talk about the music you hear on the radio, or your favorite singer, or your entertainer, or that type of music. I'm talking about another music that has been created and designed to fool you, to play with your emotions, to trigger your senses, so to speak. Let me give you some examples. You have anime music. When you watch those little anime cartoons, that's a specially designed music for that particular thing. Then you have blaxploitation music. Whenever you watch a black film or a black movie, that type of music, the type of music that, get you to do what you got to do, that's designed for that. Then you have theme music, certain themes. Then you have original score soundtracks. Then they have, when you're watching spy music, when you're watching a spy movie, when you're watching James Bond or someone going out spy, that music is designed for that particular cinema. Then you have the dramatic music for the dramas. Then you have the suspense music. Then you have the mellow music. Then you have the love music. You have all types of music, and you notice how music is dealing with what? Sound, vibration, frequency, and it has an effect upon you. You've seen when they take the salt or the sand and put it on the table, and they add certain sounds to it, what happens? It forms different shapes. They know that. Same way that Dr. Emoto, when he wrote on water certain things that changed the shape, they know that. So therefore, they are messing with your emotions. They are playing with you to get you caught up into what's going on, into the film, into the cinema, and have you crying about something that ain't even real. You're going to watch a movie and oh, what they do, they shot Bambi. Oh, shit. Poor Bambi's dead. And they play the music, and what they do is they slip it in on you. It's real quiet and subtle. Then it gets to a crescendo, then it gets higher and higher. Then the next thing you know, you're crying because Bambi's dead. Bullshit. It's only a movie. It's fake. But they want you to perceive it so that way they can control your emotions, your feelings, and you go out there and talk about it as if something really happened. Even with the television, when you watch the television, watch the commercials, listen to the commercials. Those are all geared to pull you in. They're geared to say, yeah, we got to get you somehow. So they throw out the music that is attuned to you, so that way you can say, well, I'm going to buy that stuff because it's this, it's that, it's whatever. Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's, they all got these here commercials going on, and the majority of these commercials are only 5 seconds. They discovered that all they need is 5 seconds of your attention, and they got you. And they'll play the music, show people dancing, being happy, and eating a burger, whatever it is, you will fall for it. They are playing you. Why? Because all they care about is your money. That's all they want. They don't care about what they put in it. They don't care about whether it's healthy or not, whether it's going to benefit you or not. All they care about is your money. All right? Those are your music. So pay attention to the music when it's being played on the television or in the movies or even on the radio. What is behind it? What are they trying to do? They are seducing you with music. You follow? Now the next thing we're going to talk about real quick is politics. Politics, this is the topic of politics. Good cop, bad cop. That's your politics. And they play the game every time it comes for an election or something. They're going to, like they do in the movies. Okay, John, you're going to be the good cop today, and I'll be the bad cop today. Tomorrow, I'll be the good cop, you'll be the bad cop. And they switch back and forth, and they laugh. and they play the game saying, we got these people fooled. If you want to know about a politician, who they really stand for, who they really are going to support, look at their contributors. Look at those who donate to them. If they have, let me see right here, if they have oil companies, big pharma, healthcare insurance, big industries, corporations, big banks, Wall Streets, then these are their friends. Those are the ones in the corporations who are donating to this particular candidate. So when they get elected, I'll say it again, who do you think they're going to look out for first? It won't be you. Well, what they do for you is they'll throw a few dollars your way and make you think that they're doing something. But when you look around, shit don't change. It don't really change. Maybe some of it might trickle and affect a few people, but the changes, they're not for you. They're for business, corporations. Those are their supporters. Those are the ones who gave the big money. Those are the ones who say, look, here's $100,000. Don't forget, when you get elected, remember me, because I got something I need you to do for me. I got something you need to do for my company. So when you're dealing with that, you have to understand that those who have that control over you, who govern over you, who rule over you, they are the ones that make the decisions. Not you, not the government. It's the corporations and the big businesses that are saying what the heck is going to happen and what's going to go on. Now, if you don't think you're not being played, let me tell you, because you're under a spell. Like I say, words are very, very powerful. Like I say, the pen is mightier than the sword, and it's more powerful than a bullet when you know how to use the words. Let me read this for you. This is something that Machiavelli wrote. He says, those who have held power over a population, meaning that they govern, rule, preside over, or to be in power over, or reign over, control. Those who hold this power have long realized that a population, and this is the key word, united, a population united is always stronger than those who rule over it. And thus, stretching back, even going into an ancient time, rulers have sought. Let me see. Okay, there it is. Rulers have sought to divide the many and weaken the force, which was strong while it was united. As long as you're united, as long as you put aside your petty differences, they're not that important. You are strong, and they realize it. Now, it says they use methods which promote division on purpose. This is not done by accident. This is on purpose. By dividing a population along lines, this is the tricks, such as race, class, religion, gender, or political preference. Or in other words, into groups which are naturally prone to clash. They know that if you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, you're all going to be bumping heads. If you're a Methodist and you're a Catholic, you're going to be bumping heads. No matter what it is, they got you. If you're black, and you're white, or Asian, you're going to be bumping heads. Because they put that out there. If you're a male, if you're a female, if you're straight, if you're gay, if you're transgender, doesn't matter. They're going to put you against one another. Because they know that divided, they got you. Read the story of the Aesop's fable of the four bulls. The four bulls. Read the story of the four bulls, and it'll tell you how that scheme works, how that game works, and the lion, or whatever it is. Now, in other words, there was an old song out many years ago by a group called the Chilites. It's Chilites, called "For God's Sakes, Give More Power to the People." If we get a chance to listen to it, it has some very, very moving words in it. Because of the fact that they use this stuff, that division, that divide and conquer, because those are the few, you all are the many. So how do we control the many? We break them up and divide and conquer, and while we reap the benefits, and we'll come in and pretend like we're gonna work things out for you, and in essence, they're only working and looking out for themselves. Because keep in mind this fact too, is that every day when you get up in the morning, you have over 400 different things coming at you from all different angles. the type of food that you eat, the type of clothes that you wear, the kind of car that you want to buy. All of these here things are part of the marketing scheme. It's all marketing. All right? And let me tell you what they say about marketing because it's used to control your mind. It says, our job is to manipulate the consumer by arousing their desires and satisfying those desires for a fixed price. It's called advertising. I got that from the movie years ago, Putney Swoop. That's one of the first things they said in that movie. That's the whole idea of advertising, is to separate you from your money. And what they do, they'll present things to you to make you want to buy it, to make you want to eat it, to make you want to wear it. See, but it wasn't always been that way. When you go back into times when things were less unethical, the products were produced for the purpose of what they were produced for. Meaning that if you bought a car, what is the primary use of a car? To get you from point A to point B. That's all it's designed to do. That's what it was all designed to do. What did they do? They said, well, we've got to sell more cars. How do we sell more cars? We start using symbolisms. All right? Symbolism. Make the car a symbol of a status symbol. Make it of wealth, power, sexy, strength. Make it appeal to that part of the individual to make them want to buy something like that. Make it certain colors to attract them to bring it in. Make them think that if getting this car is going to make them get the girls or get the guys or get whatever, however, whomever. That's all part of the scheme. That's all part of the symbolism. That's the methodology influencing the public. You're being influenced, all right, by these things. And they do this here because of the fact that they are deceiving you. If you have, let me tell you something. If you got a $50,000, let's say Rolex watch, right? You go to the store, you buy a $50,000 Rolex watch. Just bought it on your wrist, looks good, it's cool, it's got all the bells and whistles. Take that same watch you just bought $50,000 paid for, take it to the pawn shop. Say, I want to pawn this watch. The guy looks at it and says, I'll give you, at best, maybe $5,000 for it. But I just paid $50,000 for it. He said, I don't give a damn what you paid for it. That's all I'm going to give you for it. Because that's all it's worth to him to sell it to somebody else that might want to buy it for a little bit more money. See, the value put on things is what the manufacturer does and make you think it's worth more than what it really is, when it's really a piece of shit. You know, like, you want to wear the Gucci, the Louis Vuitton, the Prada, all of these brand names of things that they attach these names to. They give it a certain status, a certain symbol, a certain feeling of yeah, if I got a Rolex watch, that means I'm wealthy. It means I've got money. Or if I got the Prada shoes, if I got the the Louis Vuitton bag or shirt, and you see people out there wearing foolishness. Like if you bought a Louis Vuitton suit, how many times could you wear it? You can only wear it once, because somebody see you wearing it twice. Look at him, he just had it on last week. So they know that. So they play on that to make you say, well, I got to get another one, something different, because it hasn't even worn out yet. Like I was telling my friends the other day, is that the cleanser company, when you buy Comet cleanser, you tear off that little piece of paper and you got 7 holes in there. In the original Comets before that, they had 1 hole. And they said, well, we got to sell more cleanser. What do we need to do? Somebody said, well, punch more holes in it. So when you punch more holes in it and start shaking it, you're shaking out more. So you're using more than what you really need, so they can sell more by you using more up. If you were smart, you take some tape, put it over at least 3 or 4 of those holes, so that we don't shake out as much, and you find it's just as effective. It works just as well. But they're giving you the idea that they're producing a product that you need and you have to have. There are so many other things that you can use outside of what they tell you that you don't need. All right? The marketing is all part of marketing to get you to spend your money as fast as you before you even get it. You ever notice when they have sales? Sale starts this Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the sale's going on. Why? Because you get paid on Friday. So they know you're going to have some money. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they know that there ain't going to be too much going on because most people have already spent out and they've spent the money over the weekend. And so now they got to come back Monday. So the next sale's coming out again this weekend. Get ready for it. So as soon as you get that check, come Monday morning, you are what they call broke. All right? I'm going to tell you another thing that the users here. It says this: marketers can use their knowledge of perception and learning to manipulate the consumption behavior of consumers. The use of product placement, sponsored content, or consumer perception is an ad stimulus having an impact. What's product placement? Watch a movie. They go downstairs to have breakfast. On the table, they got a box of Cheerios. Put there on purpose. Into the cabinet, they got ketchup, Heinz ketchup. They've got this one. Why? Because those people have paid the movie company to put their products there because they know that people are going to see this and it's going to subliminally put in their mind, this is what I need. This is why I should buy it. It's all part of the game. You're being played all the way around. Another form of playing you is called gaslighting. I don't know if any of you ever heard of it. It was a movie out, it was back in 1930 or so. They put out a movie, Gaslighting, where this guy, this husband, who wanted to get rid of his wife, and he would go into the house, because back then they didn't have lamps, they had gas lamps, and he would light that. He would go into the house and light the lamps and turn them around real dim. And she'd come in and say, why is it so dark in here? He said, what do you mean it's not dark in here? It's bright. What's wrong with you? And he kept playing on it. It's called, let me read it for you. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation in which a person or a group covertly sows seeds of doubts in a targeted individual or group, making them question their own memory, perception, or judgment. It may evoke changes in them, such as cognitive dissonance or low self-esteem, rendering the victim additionally dependent on the gaslighter for emotional support and validation. Using denial, misdirection, contradiction, misinformation, gaslighting involves attempts to destabilize the victim and to delegitimize the victim's belief. It's like what the guy said, you going to believe me or your lying eyes? That's gaslighting. But this is done on purpose. This is done every single day in many different forms by people. When you go into a store, when you go shopping, whatever you do, whenever you turn on the television and you listen to the news, they are gaslighting you. They are using these methods, these techniques to fool you. And I'm going to give you the source of all this here in a minute. All right? The thing is that the advertisement, they say they prey on your anxieties. It's not just about consumption. It goes deeper. Basically, the birth of consumption or consumerism is allowed by corporations and politicians to placate people with goods. As long as people were happy, they are happy because they were buying things, that their desires were met, and the focus on is continue to buy more and more things. And this is preoccupied with capitalism, and this is known as keeping up with the Joneses. That's all it is. If they get something new, you got to get something new. If they do this, it's all a psychological game that's put out there, and the puppet masters sit back and watch and laugh. And so as long as we got them doing that, and they pray the day never comes that you open your eye of truth and you see for what it is. Like when Neil opened his eyes and said, why do my eyes hurt? Morphy said, because you never used them before. You never used them. So this is what's going to happen. Eventually, a lot of people are going to catch on. And there's some shit coming down the pipe that you better catch on to real quick. If not, it's going to be very, very sad for a lot of people. All right? And I'm just going to start ending it up now because I'm going into a whole nother area here. And the thing I want to talk about now is children. We are losing our children. And you might not think of it as being that, but I just wrote down a list of things that might trigger why I'm saying that. If you remember as a child playing hopscotch, ring around the rosy, double dutch, jump rope, tag, hide and seek. Back when I was growing up, we played Cowboys and Indians, playing marbles, leapfrog, stickball, kick the can, red rover, tug of war. You see children outside anymore playing these things or playing these games or having fun running around. That's kind of rare these days. Most of the time, you find children inside, sitting at the computer or on the cell phone, playing some type of video game or communicating with their friends, what have you, and they don't want to go outside and play. Take away the cell phone, say go outside and play. They kick your ass. When you taking my cell phone, I can't be on the computer. Go outside and play, get some fresh air. It's not being done anymore. You are being played, and your children are the next victims, and you are helping. Just for 3 days out of the week, if you want to, if you can, tell your children, you too, involve yourself in this, saying, we're going to shut off the computer, we're going to shut off the cell phones, and we're going to go outside and take a walk in the park, or go to the zoo or someplace and put the phones, put all that stuff aside, and reconnect, because that's going to be important. You're going to need to do that. And what they're doing is that they are using and manipulating these little things with the children because, like a cell phone. I promise you, within the next year, if you already have it, they're going to come over with a new cell phone that does something totally different. But what's the primary function of the cell phone? To make phone calls. That's the primary function, is to make a phone call. But now we've gotten to the point where it does everything else but maybe fry an egg or do whatever else you want to do, because it's a form of communication, but it's now more than that. And I'm not saying you, I'm saying we all have gotten caught up in that. And we have to find a way to disconnect. We have to find a way that says to be in the world but not of the world. Remove yourself from a lot of these things that are going on, because what they're going to be doing next is not going to be no joke. It's not going to be fun. While you're busy on the cell phone, these demons, these beasts, I call them what they are planning a whole bunch of shit, because they work 24/7. They don't work 8 hours a day and go home. You think that because the bank closes at 5 o'clock, everybody goes home? No. There are people there still operating that bank, as well as everything else that goes on 24/7, 365. Don't be fooled by that, thinking that, well, I'm asleep, they're asleep. No. Like it says in the movie, they live, right? It says, they sleep, we live. So as long as you sleep and you stay asleep, they're fine. But when you wake up, and again, they dread the day that when they sleep, when the sleeping giant awakens, that's going to be their downfall. But it has to come with you coming together. Stop looking at that person as being your enemy and say, you are my friend, because we're in this here shit together. When the Titanic sank, lottie-dottie, every damn body on the boat sank. Went down with the ship. It wasn't about being separate. It wasn't about, look, we're all in this here thing together. So if this thing collapses, you're all going to collapse with it. You follow? Now, the one thing I'm going to talk about, I'm going to end it with this, because there's a few other things I want to get into, but I'm going to just end it right now because I'm going to. That's it. I'm going to talk about the virus for a brief second. All right? COVID-19. That's the name they've given it. But there are many different viruses out there. And the thing about viruses you need to know is that viruses mutate. The virus that's out this year, same as with the cold and the flu virus, whatever it is, the virus that came out last year is not the same virus that's coming out this year. And next year is going to be a different virus, because viruses are intelligent, believe it or not, and they adapt. They're like the Borg. If you ever watch Star Trek, And the Borg, the first couple of shots, you hit the Borg, they fall dead. But after that, they adapt. And it's the same thing with the virus. Viruses adapt. And I have a question about the virus. What they say. 95% of the people that contract the virus survive. 95%. Those are some good odds, if you ask me. Not to demeanor or demean anyone who has passed and has caught this virus. You know, I'm not trying to make that a joke or anything, but that's the facts of it. So, if 95% survival rate of this virus, and they got a vaccine that they say they're going to come out with that has a 95% cure rate, what's the point? What's the point? What good is that? What value does that have? If it's 95% effective, you already got 95% of the population already being cured or overcoming. So how can it make sense to say, get a shot, get a virus, and whatever they're going to use to try to manipulate people? Because there are people out there who are deadly afraid. Fear has taken them to the point where they, to the inch, that you better stay 6 feet away to the inch, and you better have on a mask and don't come near me. I don't want you around me. There's people who are like that out there who have, as we say, been played to the point. So if 95% people survive this thing, like I said, those are pretty good odds, and they've got a vaccine that's only 95% effective, it kind of cancels one thing out, doesn't it? It doesn't really make sense. Not to me, anyway. All right? Now, and I'll say this here to a lot of people, especially to people of color, and some of you white people pay attention too, because when you do this here shit, they ain't really caring too much about anybody. Remember the Tuskegee experiment? They did it with syphilis to people for years. Go study it. Go read about it. You'll see it, what they're doing. And they're saying that on television. Well, there are a lot of black people who are susceptible of the virus because of the Tuskegee. So we got to find a way to convince them to take this here. Fuck you. That's what I said. All right, now, the information that I gave you today, I'm going to give you some YouTube videos and a couple of films you might want to watch to substantiate what I'm telling you and how you can learn from it. Hopefully wake up and wake other people up. All right? There's a YouTube video. I said it to a couple of people. It's called Fact or Fiction COVID-19. Look at it before they take it down because it has some information in it that you're going to need and want to hear before they take it down. There's another movie. This is a movie. You can look at it. It's not YouTube. It's called Sublime. It's dealing with what goes on in hospitals, what type of treatments people really are getting, and how people are dying that go to the hospital. Then there's another YouTube. This is you find on YouTube. It's called Songbird. Songbird is a preview of a movie that's coming out. I think it's in the next year. Pay attention to it. There's information on there. You might want to say, wait a minute, how so soon? But you'll see. Another YouTube video called Morgan Freeman Narrates the Pandemic. It's like a tongue-in-cheek thing, but pay attention to that one too. That's real good. I like that. And now, another thing to also investigate this. Dead Peasants Insurance. Dead Peasants Insurance. What this is, and this has been going on and off for quite a few years. It's an insurance policy that's done with big corporations, big businesses. What they do is on every employee, they have up to $1 million life insurance policy on that individual. Meaning that if anything were to happen to them and they were to die, the corporation would get $1 million and the survivors would get shit. The family gets nothing. It's called Dead Peasants Insurance. They were supposedly not doing it anymore, but there are some people that still might be doing it. But check it out just for the information's sake. Now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. The information that I got today that I gave to you and I shared with you is from a person by the name of Edward Bernays. It's Edward, Bernays. I've looked at his videos. I've studied him. He's just one of the many But he's the main one that I really went into and pulled some information from. But you're going to get more from it when I'm going to give you the videos that you can watch on YouTube from him. Edward Bernays, How to Control What People Do. Edward Bernays in Group Psychology. Edward Bernays, Manipulating the Masses. Edward Bernays, Social Engineering, Advertising, and Marketing. Propaganda, that's a book by Edward Bernays, and another one called Manufacturing Consent. All right? Now, this is the guy, and I'll tell you a little bit about what he did. He's the person or behind you eating bacon and eggs in the morning. He's the one that brought that into vogue. Watch the videos and it'll tell you how we did it. Also, he's the one that got women to smoke. He's the one that did that from way back when to now. And in those videos I just told you about him on YouTube, watch him, look at him, share him with your friends. Maybe have an Edward Bernays night where you can sit down and watch all YouTube videos with some friends and discuss what's being done and talk about it and how you can help lift the cover off the eyes of many people. And I'm going to give you his background real quick. Edward Bernays, and this is going to be interesting, the nephew of Sigmund Freud and a pioneering mind behind the advertising and modern propaganda in the field of public relations. That's what he called it. He changed propaganda to public relations. Bernays' influence was enormous, relying heavily on the insights of his uncle. He developed a highly successful manipulation techniques which are still used today, and not only by companies to sell products, but also by the powers that be. He truly believed that most people, pay attention to this, were stupid sheep that needed an elite and intelligent class to shepherd them. The most important books ever written about propaganda is an influential book by Edward Bernays, which came out in 1928, before any of us was born today. And the author is best known for his works in the field of public relations or simply propaganda. That's where this stuff comes from. You study him and others like him, and you'll see how you are been played, and how the majority of things that you do have been orchestrated by him. Now, if anything I said to you today, as I said before, has any value, or you learned anything from it, please don't hesitate to contribute. It doesn't have to be a whole lot, but anything that's said that helps us to awaken you and others, we would greatly appreciate you giving us a small donation, a love gift, or whatever. And I'll end it with this from the poem by the last poets. It says this here. It says, the power's in the hands of the ruling classes, playing God with the fate of all the masses. Because the people don't get any in the land of the plenty, because e pluribus unum means one out of many. The name of that poem by the last poets is called E Pluribus Unum. So I'm going to end with that. Again, if you need any organite, which I suggest you get some, because things are getting real tight, and these things are important. This is what we make. We don't buy it from somebody else and pretend it's ours. Sandra and I create all the stuff you see here. This is what we do, and we're offering it to you to get it while the getting is good. All right? So until the next time, we're going to have another topic for you, maybe another couple of weeks. I'm going to post this video on my YouTube channel. It's called Jerry Speaks, or in the title Gerald Miller. You can find other videos that I've done there. And I'm also going to try and see if I can get it to work. Like, I'm not tech savvy. My son, I wish he was here to do it for me, but he's not. I will also probably try to repost it on my Instagram page. So until the next time, I appreciate you all for listening, tuning in, and realize this fact. You are being played 24/7, like I said, from religion to politics. Open your eye of truth and see.